In the highlands of East Africa, in a country that was never colonized, arose a man who would become an emperor, a symbol of African pride and a spiritual king of a global movement. This is the incredible story of Emperor Haile Selassie, the Lion of Judah, the King of Kings, the man who would shake the world and inspire millions from Africa to the Caribbean. Haile Selassie was born as Liege Tafari Makonnen on July 23, 1892 in the small town of Ejasa Goro in Ethiopia. His father, Ras Makonnen, was a respected general and a governor who served under Emperor Menelik II. Tafari was raised in a mix of Christian teachings, Amharic culture and royal etiquette. He was well educated for his time, fluent in French, Amharic and Ge'ez, and exposed to European ideas at a young age. Even as a child, Tafari stood out. People said he was serious, intelligent, and wise beyond his years. In 1916, the Ethiopian throne was in crisis. Tafari, then in his early 20s, made a bold political move. He helped to remove the sitting emperor, Liege Iyasu, who was accused of converting to Islam and losing public trust. In return, Tafari was made regent plenipotentiary, the second most powerful man in Ethiopia, ruling in the name of Empress Zewditu. As regent, Tafari introduced modern reforms. He built schools, established diplomatic ties with Europe, and pushed for Ethiopia to join the League of Nations. He also traveled to Europe, meeting with leaders in France, Italy, and Britain, the first Ethiopian leader to do so. The world began to notice of this rising star from Africa. In 1930, Empress Zewditu passed away. Tafari Makonnen was crowned as Emperor Haile Selassie I, a name meaning power of the Trinity. The coronation was majestic. He was crowned with 7 crowns and titles like King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and the conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. He claimed direct descent from King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, making him not just a political leader, but a divine one in the eyes of many Ethiopians. Leaders from all over the world attended the coronation. It was a message to Europe. Ethiopia was not a backward land. It was a proud, independent empire with ancient roots and modern vision. Haile Selassie had a dream: to make Ethiopia a modern, educated, and respected nation. He introduced Ethiopia's first written constitution in 1931, established a national bank, a university, and tried to abolish slavery. But not everyone was happy, of course. Some nobles and tribal leaders didn't like the changes. They saw Selassie as too westernized. Still, he moved forward, determined to make Ethiopia very strong. But dark clouds were gathering over Africa, and soon a brutal war would test everything Selassie had stood for. In 1935, Italy under Mussolini invaded Ethiopia, wanting revenge for their defeat at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. Ethiopian soldiers fought bravely, but Italy used modern weapons, tanks, and even chemical gas. Haile Selassie fled to exile in Britain, but he didn't give up. In 1936, he stood in front of the League of Nations in Geneva and gave one of the most powerful speeches of the 20th century, where he warned the world and told them, "Today it is us and tomorrow it will be you."
At the League of Nations, a grave disturbance. Today, Haile Selassie comes to plead for his lost empire. He wants them to make Mussolini give up Ethiopia. The Geneva crowds are for him, but the exiled emperor will need his imperturbable dignity before the day is over. British Foreign Minister Eden, Soviet Delegate Litvinov on the left, and French Premier Blum and all the statesmen, instead of helping Haile Selassie, have decided to lift the sanctions against Italy. The introduction of the emperor in English.
His voice echoed across the globe. He became a symbol of resistance, a lone African emperor standing up to European colonizers. In 1941, with help from British forces and Ethiopian patriots, Haile Selassie returned in triumph. The invaders were driven out. The Lion of Judah was back on the throne. He spent the next 2 decades building alliances, helping form the Organization of African Unity, and supporting independence movements across the continent. He was more than a king. To millions, he was the father of modern Africa. Thousands of miles away in the Caribbean, a spiritual movement had been born. They called themselves Rastafari, after Rastafari Makonnen. To them, Haile Selassie was not just a man, but God in the flesh, the returned Messiah. In 1966, Selassie visited Jamaica and was met with huge crowds, chanting, smoking ganja and weeping. To them, he was divine. He never publicly claimed to be God, no, but he welcomed their love with grace.